Hey class, welcome to our first class here in Apologetics at Champion Christian College. I'm so excited to get to teach you this class, and the first class is going to be an introduction. We're going to cover some terms that I think are important for us to know, and then I'm going to just give you a real brief introduction as to the importance of this class, the purpose of this class, and what we're going to be doing throughout these 14 lectures, 14 weeks of this class. So the first thing that I want to say is I want to establish some terms. And I'm going to expect you to know these on your midterm, so I really want you to write these down and know these terms. The first term that I want to introduce to you is monotheism. A monotheist is a person who believes in one God. Now, there are 4,200 religions in the world today. And some of those religions are monotheistic. That is to say, they believe in just one God. The three most notable are Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. So that's monotheism. Monotheism, one God. Number two, polytheism. A polytheist is a person who believes in many gods. And a popular religion that is polytheist is Hinduism. Hinduism believes in many, many gods. Number three, pantheism. A pantheist is a person who believes the universe itself is a manifestation of God. So the material world, matter, things, objects, including human beings, we are all together God or divine. Number four, humanist. A humanist is a person who believes that we as humans are gods, or at least capable of being divine. So we have monotheism, polytheism, pantheism, humanism, and number five, atheism. An atheist is one who believes that there is no God. Now, there's different kinds of atheists, but just to make this term as simple as we can at the start, and we'll talk more about this later. Atheist comes from the Greek word theos, which means God, and means no or without. So if you put with theos in Greek, you get without God or no God, and that has been morphed into our English word atheist. So an atheist is someone who believes that there's no God. We'll talk about the new atheists later in this class, but just to keep it simple, an atheist is someone who does not believe in a God. And number six, agnosticism. An agnostic is one who believes that nothing is known or can be known that proves the existence of God. So an agnostic is someone who says we can't know. Now, I want to make a quick distinction here at the beginning of this class. There's a big difference between saying I don't know and we can't know. For me to say I don't know something is just to say I'm a novice, I'm ignorant to it, I don't know it. I don't know anything about astrophysics. I haven't studied that field. I don't know. There's a difference between saying I don't know and we collectively cannot know. And so I want to make that little distinction, but it's important, and we'll talk about it later in the class. So I've given you six terms: monotheism, polytheism, pantheism, humanism, atheism, and agnosticism. And I want you to know all six of those terms and what they mean. All right, now I want to take some time here in this introductory class, and I want to talk about how important apologetics is, but I also want us to talk about the dangers of it. And the way that I've set up this class in the 14 weeks and the 14 lectures of this class is kind of as a sandwich. And so we're going to talk about some of this stuff at the very end of the class, but I want to start off with it. And I really want us to take a journey in this class together. I want us to study together and to learn together. And I really want us to all have the same mindset going into this class. And here's the mindset. Apologetics is useless if it does not build the faith of the one using it or dismantle the arguments keeping someone from unbelief. At the very heart of my desire to learn apologetics and for you to learn apologetics should be, one, I want to strengthen my own faith. I want to get answers to the questions that I have. Because guess what? We all have questions. And as you study the Word of God, as you spend time in prayer, as you spend time in Christian community, in small groups or in church, you're going to have questions. As you talk to friends out and about, you're going to have questions. Why does the Bible seem to allow this? Or how could it be that this? And we want and need and should want to find answers to our questions. And so apologetics is so important for finding answers to the tough questions about life. And what I want to compare apologetics to is karate, okay? So karate is very important for defending yourself. It's, you know, ironically, the kid at school whose parent sends him off to karate class is probably the kid getting picked on and bullied. The kid who is, you know, tough doesn't probably need karate class. And that's kind of an ironic thing. But the point that I want to make is learning karate is learning how to defend yourself. If you run out of the karate class and run into a store and start beating people up, you've kind of missed the point of the class. You know, if you're like me, you knew kids in high school, junior high, middle school, whatever, and they went to karate class and they came into the school and it was like, you know, wearing a sign on their head, I know karate. And that's kind of not the point. The point is not to use karate against others. The point is, now I'm prepared to defend myself. And really, that's how we should view apologetics. Like, we're not using the information that we're learning to go out in the public square and beat people over the head. We actually have a passionate relationship with Jesus. And because of that, we want others to have that. We've experienced the grace of God, and we want others to experience that. And so, therefore, not only am I going to find answers to my questions, because that's natural and what we should do, but in addition, I want to find out what questions people in our culture have, and I really want to be able to help them. So that's kind of the purpose of what this class should be all about. The danger of apologetics is that somehow we will feel like we know something that someone else doesn't know, and we'll jump on social media and get into arguments and fights. And that really, really misses the point of it. I want you to ask yourself a question. Have you ever changed your mind because of something that someone said to you and it was antagonistic, it was demeaning, it made you feel like an idiot? No, you don't change your mind like that. You change your mind when someone who cares about you comes to you and says, hey, can I, you know, what's your hang up? Or what can we talk? Can we do coffee? And that's, that's really the point that I want to get across to you. I do hope to, in this class, set you on the road to being able to confidently defend your faith, because it is true, and I do believe it's true. I do believe the Christian faith is not just the most plausible, but I believe it's the most probable. I believe it's accurate, and that's what I'm going to seek to prove in this class. Jesus was sending his disciples out to proclaim the good news of the kingdom of God. And Jesus said this to his disciples as he was sending them out. We find this in Matthew chapter 10, verse 16. Look, Jesus said, I am sending you out as sheep among wolves, so be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves. So Jesus is sending his disciples out, and he says, I want you to be wise. I want you to be intelligent. This word shrewd, the New Living Translation gives it, is this idea of being able to convince. But I want you to be harmless as doves. That is to say, you're not beating people over the head with the truth that you know. Paul wrote in his letter to the church in Ephesus, and in what we call chapter 4, he is explaining the purposes of spiritual gifts, which are to build the church up. Paul says that if the teachers are using the gift God has given them, they won't fall for false doctrine. And this is what he then writes. Instead, Paul says, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church. Okay, so Paul says the Holy Spirit is going to give you spiritual gifts so that you won't fall for false doctrine. And now that you are using your spiritual gifts to build up the church, speak the truth in love. When you have confidence that what you believe is true, you can speak it in love. You can speak it with confidence, but in love. I want to say something to you, and I really want you to hear this carefully, and possibly even pause the lecture and just chew on this for about 15 to 20 seconds. Truth can stand on its own 2 feet. Think about that. Truth can stand on its own 2 feet. Now, what do I mean by that? You don't have to prop up truth because it's falling down. No, truth is true, and it doesn't need to be propped up. So let me explain what I mean. There's a difference between calmly defending your position and boisterously and dogmatically beating someone over the head with it. Ironically, those who are the most dogmatic are this way because they doubt their position. If what we believe is true, we should allow the truth to do the dismantling, not our volume. So oftentimes in a conversation with someone, the person who's raising their voice and getting angry is doing so because they are not able to win the argument because what they believe is not winning the argument for them. So if I believe one thing and you believe something else, and we begin to dialogue, and I sense that I'm not defending my position very well, just subconsciously, I'm going to raise my voice and get hostile and angry because I'm so unhappy and dissatisfied that what I believe is not able to win the argument. So I really do believe if what we believe is true, we should be able to calmly talk to someone about it and dialogue and hear what they have to say and listen to their questions and say, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, what about this? And talk back and forth with each other. Richard Dawkins is a famous atheist, and he often in his writings and in his when he was interviewed, he approved of intolerance towards Christians, which, I mean, really, if you think about it, if a president of the United States were to approve of intolerance towards a religious group, it would be a huge deal. But when it's an atheist like Richard Dawkins, we just say, no, it's fine. And if you listen to an atheist like Richard Dawkins, there's animosity, there's anger when it comes to the Christian faith. And my personal opinion is that anger is coming because he doesn't hold the truth. He's not able to just calmly dialogue. One of your assignments this semester is going to be listening to the debate between William Lane Craig and Christopher Hitchens. And I want you to notice when you watch that interview that William Lane Craig remains calm throughout the whole debate. He's calm as a cucumber. And when Richard Dawkins gets up, he's smirky, he's disrespectful, he jests, and I think he does that because he's uncomfortable. He doesn't have sufficient evidence to put against the argument. And I'm one of those, just because I enjoy a good debate, I'm one of those that I enjoy watching a good debate. And so one of the things I watch for when I watch a debate is the demeanor of the person that's speaking. And oftentimes the person who's losing the debate, they will not remain calm. So I want to talk to you at the end of this lecture about the idea that you probably have heard before. And the idea says that you cannot put God into a box. So I have my tissue box here. And I want to explain this analogy of fitting God into a box, or the statement you've heard, you can't put God into a box. This box represents what I believe, Scott Mercer. And there's walls on this box, or there's sides to this box. And this holds everything that I believe. And when I hear something, I can do one of two things. I can either try to see if it fits in to what I already believe, and if it doesn't, then I disbelieve it. Or I can consider the fact that maybe my walls of my box need to be expanded. Maybe I don't know the truth. And so there is a strong temptation for each one of us when we're talking about truth to think that we know the truth, to think that we're right. And we ought to want to know the truth at all cost, even if it means I'm embarrassed, even if it means I'm wrong. And we ought to consider the fact that we are wrong. I don't want us to make the mistake of saying we're all right. All of us hold pieces of the truth. We're going to talk about in lecture number 8, I believe, this idea of exclusivity. We'll talk about that later. But we can't fall for that trap. We also can't fall for the trap that says we just can't know the truth. We don't know. No, I believe that I can know the truth, but I think it's arrogant to say I do know the truth about everything. It's arrogant and it's unlikely. I think it's also unlikely that my particular denomination, my sect of Christianity, is true about everything, has it right about everything. We have to humble ourselves and be willing to say, I could be wrong about this. I think this is true, and if it is true, it's going to support its weight in a conversation. I've learned, and I'm very young, I'm 34 years old, but I've learned in my life when I believe something to be true, and I get into a conversation with someone else, if it's true, in the course of conversation, it's going to be brought out to be true. It's going to hold its weight. What is not true is going to become evident quickly when it's held up against the truth. So when it comes to truth, when it comes to God, I don't believe we ought to see if God fits into what we already believe. I think what we ought to do is say, okay, let's see what the scriptures say, and are the walls of my belief system, are they accurate? And this comes with analyzing what I believe. I'm constantly analyzing what I believe to see that it's true. And it could be false, and I want to know if it's false. So this is the mindset that I want us to have going into this class, where we want the truth at all cost, but when we find the truth, we don't need to be hostile or dogmatic about it, because if it's true, it's true. All right. At the end of this lecture, I want to talk about the two halves of our class. In the first half of our class, we're going to talk about the existence of God. In the second half of our class, we're going to talk about the truth of Christianity. And then we're going to end the class how we started it, with talking about how apologetics should strengthen our faith, and it should push us into a deeper relationship with God, which will push us into wanting other people to know this. Guys, I am so excited about this class. This is a unique class because it's online. So this has already been recorded, and you're watching it on either a mobile device or your computer. But I really want to make this class a class that is one that you grow spiritually, and I'm available to for you to reach out to me with questions. And so just feel free to reach out to me. My phone number is 501-701-9310. Reach out to me, text me, call me, email me, and all of that information will be on Populi. But I'm really excited about this class, and I'm excited to see your response, and how much you're enjoying this and how much you're growing, and just give me feedback, and I would really appreciate that. All right, God bless you.